It's time to turn our attention to the Club World Cup. Chelsea take on Flamengo tomorrow night, exclusively live on talkSPORT 2 at 7 p.m. Here to help take us through a bit of the action is talkSPORT reporter Kweku Afari, who's out in Philadelphia ahead of the game. Right, Kweku?
Kweku?
How you getting on, boys?
How you doing,
All
buddy?
right, mate. All right. You look like you're in a nightclub.
Nah, do you know what? I'm in the Lincoln Financial Field Stadium. I'm in a restaurant there. We were supposed to leave about an hour ago. The weather took a turn for the worse. It's absolutely biblical out there. So waiting for it to brighten up a little
really?
bit.
What, the weather's had a...
One of the games was halted earlier today, wasn't it, Kweku, for fear of endangering the players?
Really?
Yeah, that was the Palmeiras game. In that match, Esteval Willian, who's going to join Chelsea after his tournament, starred for Palmeiras. But yeah, the weather in America is temperamental, right? Sometimes it's 30 degrees. Sometimes the rain or the sky just opens up and it pours with rain. Tomorrow for the Chelsea Flamengo game, we're expecting it to be around 30 degrees. And if you look at the stadium, it hasn't got much cover. So I know the Chelsea boys are a little bit worried about that, but it's the elements you have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is... I'll get Cundy to take over, really, because it's his team. But how they looking, Chelsea? They putting out... reckon they're going to put a strong side out?
Maresca talks about rotation, and this has come at the end of a very long season for Chelsea. Obviously, in the Premier League, they had things to play for when it got to the final game, got to a Conference League final, which they won as well. But Maresca's keen to impress that this is not the start of a new season, or it's not pre-season. This is the continuation of the 24-25 season. And so he will rotate. I know there's some bylaws in the tournament about having to play your best team, but it's understandable with how much football Chelsea have played. Maresca's going to change 3 or 4 players, and he said as much in his press conference. So expect some rotation from the Chelsea side against Flamengo tomorrow.
Rumours circulating that Andres Santos may make his competitive debut for Chelsea. Have you heard anything about that, Kweku?
Yeah, so talked to Andres Santos today. He was one of the players that were given up to do media, which kind of gives you an indication.
Yeah.
Nothing's been confirmed. Maresca doesn't confirm anything in his press conferences, even when he's asked about it. But Andres Santos spoke to the media. Obviously, his English has improved. He was on loan at Strasbourg last season, one of the best players in Liga. And I talked to him about how competitive Chelsea's midfield is. If you look at Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, who's vice captain, like he's got a way to go to break into this team. But there's a lot of hype around him based on his performances last season. If we do see him start for Chelsea tomorrow, I expect to see a very good performance because he's a very capable player.
What about Liam Delap? He come off the bench in the game against LAFC. Is there an opportunity maybe he starts?
You can ask Jace. I've been waxing lyrical about Liam Delap for a little bit. I think he's absolutely quality. I think he's a player that, when given the opportunity, he's stepped up at every level. And again, Maresca's talked about his team and about how he only plays with one striker. And somebody asked him in the press conference, can Jackson and Delap play together? It's either or. They're not going to play together.
Has he said that? Because Jackson can play off the left. We've seen him, not often in a blue shirt, but he can and has done it. I just wondered if that might be a potential option, because Chelsea they're a little bit spare out there with Michy's drug ban, and of course Sancho going back to United.
Yeah, well, Maresca talks about that in his press conference as well. He's not really been committal about any positions apart from winger. He keeps on saying that we need wingers. And so we expect business to get done later on in this transfer window. Jamie Gittins from Borussia Dortmund's a player of interest for Chelsea. I don't really see Nicholas Jackson being a consistent option out wide. No. He's a striker. He's developed into a striker. And when Maresca was asked a question in the press conference, he was asked about his Leicester team. He said that Leicester, we played with one striker. Chelsea, we played with one striker. There might be occasions where we play with Delap and Jackson, but he'd use them both as strikers. So it's going to be either or. And based on Delap's cameo in the first game against LAFC, Chelsea fans are very, very excited to see him. He's got the dog in him, Jace. He's got the Diego Costas, the Hasselbanks, the Drogbas in terms of like the physicality. And I really like him. I think he'll go really far.
Yeah, and fingers crossed. Just been watching, Jay and I watched the game last night where El Hattad played really well against Al Hilal, sorry. Played really well against Real Madrid, and we saw tonight. I cannot believe that. Miami beat Porto. I just wondered, has that kind of piqued any interest, the fact that some of the much more less fancied sides have been doing well?
Well, you can tell from the organisers of this tournament, they were rubbing their hands together when they saw that Messi free kick go in. That's what they organised the tournament for, right? Yeah. In the face of the tournament, he scored that free kick, and you're seeing it posted everywhere on social media. Obviously, there's an element of you want the underdogs to do well, but you don't want to see, from the organisers' point of view, see Real Madrid go out in the group phase. No. And so, for a team like Inter Miami that are led by Messi, they've got stars like Luis Suarez, it will be definitely beneficial for FIFA, who are trying to promote this tournament and make it a thing, to see superstars get to the latter stages of it. I think that's the MO. We see it in terms of the way it's promoted, we see it in terms of the way it's advertised, and so the bigger teams and the big players coming to the fore and performing is what they need for this tournament to really capture the imagination. Because I'll ask you guys, back at home, are people as interested in this tournament as they are over here?
No, not really. No, I mean, look, we've got it on and we're watching it, and to be fair, I've enjoyed some of the games. At the Inter Miami game we watched, Porto, it was a decent game. I watched Al Hilal. I said it was brilliant against Real Madrid. I enjoyed watching it, but look, my team's not in it, so I've got no dog in the fight. I can imagine maybe in the latter stages if Chelsea get to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, then
I think once the big dogs get through, then it starts getting a bit serious. Then you've got some serious teams up against each other. But like we've seen, Porto could be struggling.
Yeah,
And
it's nice to watch some of the South American sides because we never get to see them. We never watch Boca Juniors or River Plate, Flamengo. Yeah. Like we never watch these sides. So it's nice to see them. What them cultures, what them teams are like, what their fans are like.
Yeah, they take it very, very seriously. And talking to some journalists from South America, they find it funny how in Europe we dismiss the Club World Cup, because even before they changed the format this year, it's a tournament those South American clubs take very seriously. And if you look at the 3 matchups that have involved European sides as well as sides from South America, they've all ended in draws. You can argue those South American sides deserve to win those games. So Chelsea going to the game against Flamengo tomorrow, not underestimating the opposition. They're on a 9-match unbeaten run. When you look at Carlo Ancelotti's first Brazil squad that he selected, Flamengo had the most representatives from a single club. Right. And so they're no mugs. They're a serious team. Yeah. And Chelsea and Maresca know that to qualify out of Group D, this is the game they've got to win. They win tomorrow, they're through to round 16, they probably win the group. If they don't win tomorrow, it becomes a lot more tricky, and their path to success in the tournament becomes a lot more difficult.
Yeah. Any idea what they're like? I mentioned their 9 unbeaten or games run there.
Their ex-manager is a Chelsea player, right? Yeah. Well, their manager is an ex.
Jorginho's signed for them as well.
Yeah, Felipe Luis, who was at Chelsea for a season in the 14-15 season, won the Premier League, but kind of lost his place in the team to Azpilicueta, who was playing left-back at the time, but thought of fairly fondly by Chelsea fans. And obviously Jorginho won the Champions League at Chelsea in 2021, won this competition at Chelsea in 2021, obviously came third in the Ballon d'Or. Premier League fans know him very well. But they've also got a young Uruguayan centre midfielder called De Esqueta, who's a player that I had no idea about him before coming to this tournament, but I started to look at clips of him, I started to talk to journos, and he's the top scorer in the Brazilian league this season, and he scored in their first game against Tunis. And so that's a player that Chelsea are going to have to keep an eye on.
Chelsea will probably
sign. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all if you did. How is it out there, Kweku? You enjoying yourself?
I'm loving it. Again, I've just got to make sure I concentrate on work. I'm here for work, guys. But America, there's a lot to get distracted by in America. So we was in New York and then went to Atlanta, then Philadelphia. So I can say I'm enjoying myself. I'm also working very hard.
I bet you are. I bet you are. Looks like it. You're chilling. Enjoy yourself. Kweku, you're a star, mate.
The Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. Monday to Thursday nights from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.